Hey, I think I'm live. What do you know? That actually went fairly smoothly. I gotta mess with my lighting. One thing at a time. Right now, I am gonna put my feet up under my desk and talk to you guys. And it has been a long day, and I'm kind of looking forward to just chilling for a bit because I had meant to do everything today, but on the other hand, it's all done now, so I don't have to worry about it tomorrow. Tomorrow I can focus on making deviled eggs. I mean, yes, but Kermit, soon you shall not be there. Hi, Becky. Hey, everybody. Thank you, child. Thank you. He wanted me to have my nice cold beverage. So we'll hold up here because I like this. This is actually it was originally an Aldi find when I first moved here to Texas. And I'm fond of blood orange and I'm fond of honey. So the idea of blood orange and honey was enough to make me go, I'm willing to try that. And here's the thing, I'm really picky about beer, like super picky. Um, Most of the time when I try beer, I don't like it. The rare exceptions are almost always imported beers and tend to be expensive. I actually saw, when I was at the liquor store earlier today, I actually saw one of the beers that I like, which is a Belgian alembic, a raspberry alembic. So good. But I mean, it's like $8, $9 a bottle. I don't even usually buy wine that expensive. This, on the other hand, is crisp, refreshing, and runs about $8 for the six packs. So, but that kind of gives you an idea of what my day has been like. Um, Now there's a little hoppiness to this, but it's more yeasty. I do not like IPA. I don't like the bitterness, which is funny because I like grapefruit. So I'm gonna bounce all over the place today. Anyhow, um, I one of the stops today after work, because I work for 4 hours on Friday, but that's it. I'm done at 9:30 in the morning. So I wanted to get the weekly grocery shopping out of the way. So we had pre-planned this, and I hit the ground running as soon as I was done with work and had logged out, and took the child. Um, right, I mean, I'm cheap. I will occasionally, very occasionally, buy some expensive stuff as a big treat, but mostly I'm cheap, which I'll come back to that in a minute. So we try to menu plan and we try to have a grocery list. So when we go to the store, we don't spend an arm and a leg. And when I'm shopping with a 17-year-old boy, who, by the way, is hungry because he's always hungry, I wind up spending more on groceries than I should. Which is why I try to alternate weeks where I go to the store and weeks where I do a grocery pickup and I just go get that because it's much less likely to have impulse things fly into the cart. However, today I wanted to hit Aldi, which I don't do online pickup from because you pay a lot more for the online convenience stuff through Aldi. And I needed to hit the liquor store, which you might be able to do online orders from, but I honestly haven't tried. That probably not going to try. During the pandemic, I might have, but at this point, I'm just going to go in. Because what I did was I went in and I had said I wanted to get a bottle of Kahlua because I don't currently have any. And so I walk into the big liquor store and I start cruising the aisles and I'm thinking, ooh, that looks fun and that looks fun. But the problem is we don't actually drink that much. Um, so if I buy bottles of booze, chances are they're still going to be sitting there a year from now. So I was trying to get stuff that, yes, specs, Ian. I was trying to get stuff that we might actually drink. So I wound up getting a bottle of St. Brendan's, which is our favorite Irish cream. Um, Bailey's is fine, but we actually really, really like St. Brendan's. It's less expensive. It uses Quiet Man whiskey, which, well, I mean, it's not better because it's Quiet Man branded, but it tickles our fancy. So I bought a bottle of that because we were out. And then I saw a bottle of pink grapefruit liqueur and it was on sale, and that was my splurge for the day. Because here's the thing. Earlier this year, at I believe Fool's Con, someone handed me a glass of scotch and I really liked it a lot. I like the peaty, I like the smoky. It's like drinking a campfire. It's very nostalgic for me. Um, I have absolutely no idea what kind of scotch it was. And when I'm standing there in the scotch aisle today, realizing a lot of this is very expensive, and I don't know which one I liked. Ah, yes, grapefruit radlers are good. If I can find one here, which I probably can if I look hard enough, I will get one again because I like that a lot. Trying to think. The one I had was a German brand. I have found that I tend to like German beers better than American beers, and I'm told that that's not unusual, but again, I don't actually drink that much, notwithstanding the fact that I am having a beer tonight because I'm hot. Anyhow, so grocery shopping with the kid is always an adventure and usually expensive. But it was fun and we got almost everything on the list. Supply chain issues are strange because there are gaps in the store shelves and they're kind of a random moving target. I never know from one week to another what isn't going to be there. And the one thing that I have reliably not been able to find for several weeks now are RC Cola, which is Sanford's favorite beverage of choice. He likes his RC. Um, he doesn't care for Coke's stance on political issues, and Pepsi is too sweet for him. He doesn't like the way it tastes. And most store brand colas he doesn't like the flavor of. He grew up with RC and that's what he wants to drink. And I can't find it right now. So, um yeah, so it's kind of one of those things of when I go shopping, I'm like, don't know, have to look. But um yeah, Sprite Zero Ginger didn't. I think the only place I ever found Sprite Zero Ginger was in um, Jungle Gyms. And so the other one that was fun was what is the big ginger ale brand? The big ginger ale brand, not Verner's. Can't remember the name of it. I want to say Seagram's, but that's not right. Anyhow, um, they made a ginger ale with lemon and it was a zero sugar and that was good. um Differs, I'm with you. If you I was about to do what you'd be doing, I'd be drinking too. So cheers, lady, you are a brave, brave woman. Yes, Canada Dry, thank you. Canada Dry for a little while there had a ginger ale with lemon, and it was a zero sugar, and it was so good. But it was one of those fleeting things that came on the market and went away again. Um, so yeah, right. I mean, I like the zero sugars. I started drinking diet a couple of years back when I started seriously working on losing weight, which worked really great until I moved to Texas and got under so much stress, and then my body just kind of went floof. It's a defensive mechanism, like cats puffing up to look bigger than they really are. I'm settling on that. Yeah, so yeah, I have a belly now, and I'm not proud of it. Ugh. Chocolate and booze, it can be done, differs. That's kind of why I was looking for Kahlua. Maybe I should go back and hit get some chocolate liqueurs so when you guys swing through here, I can hand you a bottle of something. um, I don't know if you swap off driving with Kermit, but I probably still shouldn't be tipsy on the road while you're trying to tend children. But so got back from grocery shopping and the kid says, I'll put away groceries. Pro tip, teenagers saying I will put away groceries means I will put the perishable stuff where it won't perish and the rest of it will still be there when you get home. Because what I did after dropping the kid and the groceries off at the house was to scoop up my husband and take him out for a date. And yes, I seem to have consternated some people on Facebook by talking about dating in your middle aged. And I was not talking about dating. Look, dating when you're married is all of the fun and none of the pressure. You're already married. You're going home together. You know this. What it does do is give you an opportunity for the two of you to get out of the house, no distractions, just you. And what we had planned to do, because we were talking about it, we haven't done this since before the pandemic. And this is our favorite kind of date, which is to, I know I didn't specify it, it was funny. um, but we planned to just basically take a little road trip. We had a time limit because we had between coming home with groceries and get Cedar home in time for live stream. But we had picked a while back because we've been talking about this for the last year or so that we've been living here in Texas. We keep wanting to do this. And so we've been talking for a while. We knew we wanted to go west. West where wasn't special. Because that's what we used to do in Ohio was get in the car and head in a direction and drive for a few hours. It does help if you have children that are old enough to either be on their own or the oldest one can watch the younger ones differs. Or you can find, bribe, cajole someone into watching the children for you. You can go out on a date with your husband. Because it's important and it's fun. Even when you wind up axle deep in Oklahoma dust. I made my husband very, very nervous today. Becky says hi. So, what we had decided we were going to do was to go to, there's a place called Doan's Crossing, and it's mentioned in Western novels, and Sanford has been on a Western reading binge. So Sanford was like, okay, let's head in that direction because it gave us a direction and it was within the time limit that we needed to be able to go out, come back, grab food on the way somewhere, and still make it home in time to do other things for the day. So you need to adopt grandparents differs, ones that live close to you. So we head out west, and after we get out to Vernon, Texas, you were going to say something, love?
We don't live that close.
I would happily babysit once in a while if we did.
No, 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 no.
Every now and then we could trade and they could take Johan for a little while.
That's not fair to them.
So we get out to Vernon, Texas, and at that point Sanford pulls up Doan's Crossing on his GPS. Now, from the perspective of now, looking back at then, we know that there's two different places that we could have gone for Doan's Crossing. One is on the Texas side of the Red River, and the other is on the Oklahoma side of the Red River. We may try this again, but next time we'll try the Texas side of the Red River, because the Oklahoma side got interesting. And actually, I'm glad we did stop and turn around when we did, because when I got home and pulled it up on the Google Maps and actually like zoomed in and looked at where we'd been driving, Not much further down that road, the road crosses the North Fork of the Red River, Sands Bridge. And my little car is nominally an SUV, but really it's a mom mobile. It is a sedan with a bulbous hatchback build, a Pontiac vibe for those of you that know what that is. Um, and it is not a terribly high clearance vehicle, and it is definitely not 4x4. So, yeah. But it was fun because we got off the main road and we're like, oh, this is nice. We're out on one of these little one lane backcountry roads. These are the kinds of roads we like rambling around on. And so we go down, and there's really interesting caprock um, formation that I was looking at and thinking, well, there's a good place to pull over, but if it weren't 109 degrees by the car thermometer, I would stop and get out and explore those interesting rocks and probably find snakes, but that's a whole different kettle of fishies. I may come back when it's fall and cooler and check it out then. So we keep going and we make a right hand turn and we go down for like 4 miles. And the road just kind of gets narrower, and we're crossing the cast, going down occasional houses every now and then. And we'd come up to these houses, and I'd look at them and I'd go, no one has lived there in quite some time. One of them we knew had to have been inhabited that not too long ago because it had one of the satellite like dish TV gray dishes, not the old school huge TV satellite capture things, but just one of the gray bolt on the roof. But it was definitely windows were all busted. Nobody had been living there for a while. We get down a little further, and for those of you that see my blog today, I put up some of the pictures I took while we were out there. And we get down a little further, and there's a house that hasn't been lived in quite some time, and the wind has been nibbling chunks off of it. So we get down there, we go down there, and we make another turn, and all of a sudden there's no more pavement. It's red dirt. Um, and Sanford is like, maybe we shouldn't do this. And I'm like, it'll be fine. I like dirt roads. I mean, if it's a decent dirt road, and this was a nice, smoothly graded, freshly graded road. So we go down and we make another turn, and at this point, the GPS is saying we have about another 2 miles to go. And I'm thinking, just how far are we from the river? The river, by the way, is huge back and forth loops, so I'm honestly not sure how far we actually were from the river. We were driving down between mostly cotton fields and the occasional what looked like it had been wheat but harvested off, so it's just stubble. And yeah, and probably some hay fields out there. No livestock, which was interesting. Just cropland, and probably because we were so close down to the river, and I'm assuming it floods. I say this because after a while, the dirt road turned into a dust road, and very deep, very fine dust. Think like powdered sugar fine dust. Is like driving through snow, and it gets a little greasy. And we got down into this low point, which is undoubtedly where the river had been at one point. And I'm like, I know I'm high centering the car on dust. And I'm like, it gets much deeper, we're gonna have trouble. Um, okay, honey, we should probably find some place to turn around. How much further does the GPS say before we get to our destination? And he said, oh, it's about another mile. And I look, we get down in this low spot. I'm looking at it. I'm like, no, car is not going to do that. Well, it might, but then we're going to have to come back through it. No, we're turning around. So that even that was a little bit of an adventure, trying to find a place where we could manage to turn around. And entertainingly, roads where the GPS wanted to take us as we were trying to get up and turn around because it was too narrow to just turn on the road. So we found another little side road and went up it to be able to turn around. Um, the GPS was like, you can go this way. And I'm looking at the big cattle gate going, no, no, we cannot go that way. So turned around, got back without incident. Well, both of us were cataloging the fact that we were not sure we had cell phone reception. Despite the fact that the GPS was working, it will sometimes, even when you're outside of range, because it'll download the map. So we didn't want to trust that we had cell phone reception. I certainly didn't want to get stuck out in the um, dust somewhere in God knows Oklahoma. So we turned around and we went back. That and we wanted to go see this, but it was more idle curiosity than let's risk anything. So we had fun. It was a blast. I really enjoyed getting out there in the back roads and doing some exploring. I mean, it's flat. It is so flat. You can see forever. Unless of course you get down in the banks in between two fields. Um, no, I don't fully trust GPS. But we were kind of stuck with it for this one because we didn't know where we were. And I have got to finish ordering because I started to and then I'd put it on hold um, because gas was so dang expensive. I'm like, well, we're not road tripping anytime soon. I don't need to buy an Atlas just yet, but I think it's time. I think it's time to buy the Atlas and put that in the car. So we will at least have some chance of figuring out where the heck we are and is that actually a road? Yes, but Richard, they're making it slowly. We did have, we were in Tennessee. This was actually, I think, coming home from LibertyCon one year. And the GPS, not on the phone GPS, but like my standalone GPS, tried to turn us left into a cliff. And I was like, nope, keeping down the road because I looked. Hey mom, I'm glad you figured it out. You missed my story about nearly getting stuck in the dust in Oklahoma. Oh. You can always come back and watch it later, mom. So yeah, topo maps are harder to find. I I meant to well, no, actually, it wouldn't because I've pushed my little car pretty hard, but I was making Sanford nervous. Oh, it's so funny. We got back onto the paved road and I got a deep sigh of relief from the passenger side of the car. And I'm like, I'm sorry I scared you, honey. I grew up on roads like this. What can I say? I've been up some really interesting roads, although that was when I wasn't driving. This was when I was young. And my grandpa Ron was driving, and the man does not recognize the difference between road and path. Um, but yes, so it was fun. And then we came back down to Vernon because we were, I don't know, 25, 30 miles away from Vernon at that point. And and we got down into Vernon and we're trying to figure out some place to eat. And we did this as really kind of awkward time of day, evidently, because we'd left home about 12:30 and by the time we were looking for food, it was like 3:30. Um so restaurants in rural Texas run from breakfast to lunch and then they close. And sometimes they open back up for dinner and sometimes they're just morning things. So we were trying to find a restaurant in Vernon that was open and wound up at this really nice Mexican place. Very good food. Lupez too, if you ever in the area. It's right off the highway, so it was super easy to get to if you're traveling through going to like, I don't know, Amarillo. So we weren't off of 82. What was that road? I don't know. it goes through Vernon. I'm sure if somebody looks at a map, they can look at it. Cause 287 and something, I think. But yes, yes, Grandpa Ron will drive through a boulder field. I can remember that a time or two. Um, I am not going to do that with my little car. Sanford was saying if we ever tried that particular expedition again, we need to be driving the truck. But 287 and 283, that sounds right. Because we were up on 283 going up into Oklahoma when we turned off and started going down little roads out near Hess, Hess. That's where we were today looking for Doan's Crossing. So Hess, then we went back down towards the Red River. It was an interesting little trip. I mean, I don't know that I would recommend it other than it was kind of a fun random place for us to go, because for us the date is more about the uninterrupted time in the car. With me driving, he can hear me on his good ear. When he's driving, he can't hear me. So years ago when we first got together, I asked him to help me finish learning how to drive because I was a new driver at the time. And he was very happy to turn the duties of driving over to me because he's not fond of driving. And it's just kind of over the years we've realized it's better for me to drive because then we can talk in the car, which is why one of our favorite dates is being out in the car driving down country roads chatting because there's no interruptions. I'm not distracted by the computer or my phone or drawing. Um, and it's it's a um, it's a great date for us. And before the pandemic, which is when we kind of stopped doing them for a while because we got to a point there where there was no place open. I mean, we'd get out in the countryside of Ohio and we were kind of playing food roulette as to whether we could get food. But what worried me more was were we going to be able to get gas for the car if we got out far enough and needed fuel? Today we started out with a full tank and we're watching where we were and what the tank was at. So one of the things that I grew up with is I grew up um, when it gets down to a half a tank, I start kind of looking for a gas station. And Sanford has realized now why that is because I grew up where it was rural enough. There was not a guaranteed gas station within the bottom quarter of the tank. And I get really uncomfortable when it's that low. And he used to tease me about that, but I think that's gone away because he realized today, especially, that you can get out there and there's a whole lot of nothing for a long time. uh, Flying J. I may know where that one is, Doug. We've got a couple of big truck stops around here. There's one in Jolly that I like. The gas prices are decent. And I may check them out for atlases, or I may just order it on Amazon because if I get a gazetteer, I know what I'm getting. I've used those before. So yes, um, yeah, okay, I know where that one is. That one's actually that's actually the one I'm talking about in Jolly. Um, yeah, no, dating in Middle Ages isn't necessarily boring as today showed us. That's why I'm more worried about buying a Texas gazetteer, Kermit. Although I should probably pick one up for Oklahoma, given that we're close enough to dip in and out of Oklahoma at will where we are, because we are that far north. I want to try going east. I think it's roughly east of us is Munster, Texas, which I have been told has a really nice German restaurant. And that sounds like it's right up our alley. And I mean, hey, making restaurants the destination point, at least we know we're going to eat, right? I am looking it up because I have Mother to look it up right now. Oh, yeah. Munster looks like it's just shy of a Just Munster is just shy of an hour west east of us, so that would be a fun little trip. Uh, a Texas gazetteer and a an Oklahoma gazetteer, Kermit. So two atlases, one for Texas, one for Oklahoma, because not only are we that close to the border, but some of the hiking I plan to do is actually going to be in the Wichita Mountains. And hey, Becky, we should meet up in Munster. That would be a good one.
Get
But
cheese?
um, but no, tell him I'm sorry. He's got a headache. Hope he feels better soon. Um, yeah, no, distraction. Right, distracted. Oh, right, Wichita Mountains. So, the Wichita Mountains are only mountains if you are most of your life in the Oklahoma flat. Then the Wichita Mountains can be called mountains. Otherwise, if you grew up in the shadow of the Cascades and the Alaska Range, they're more like the Wichita Bumps. Yeah, right. If it doesn't have a tree line, it's not a mountain. I moved from living in the shadow of the Alaska Range to being introduced to the White Mountains in New Hampshire, and I'm like, you mean those hills? Although I will say that Mount Washington at least does have a tree line. So do a couple of the other mountains that I hiked when I was a teenager, and we were doing a lot of hitting the mountains up there. Um, Monadnock and oh gosh, I don't remember all the names. But anyhow, yeah, so um but the Wichita Mountains have some really decent looking hiking trails, and I want to do more hiking. The complicating factor in that is that while I would like to do more hiking, I don't have anyone to hike with because Sanford is not up to it and Johann is busy and doesn't really want to. So hiking solo gets problematic when I get out too far. So I'm trying to figure out how to do this and be safe and have fun. Um, Joining the naturalists group locally will help because they go on occasional hikes, and I'm looking forward to that. But I'd like to go out more than once a month, and I don't always want to be with a big group of people because, well, part of the reason I go hiking is because it's quiet. As says the woman who's sitting here and talking for an hour straight. But honestly, when I'm out in the woods, I don't really want to talk at all. And I've done it when I was out either doing videos to share with family that couldn't get out, um, or if I have my kids with me, and then I'll be teaching them what we're looking at as we go. And Kermit, yes. Actually, I have a Smith and Wesson Shield 9 millimeter. I just need a decent gun belt. And thank you for reminding me because I need to talk to somebody this weekend about that. Um, so yeah, it's well, okay. And I have to look up what nuisance it might be to go from Texas to Oklahoma because the Wichita Mountains are in Oklahoma. So that's a whole nother thing. But fortunately, I have experts I can consult with here. There was one on earlier, but I think he's wandered off again. Uh, yeah, no, I sometimes miss, okay, I often miss real mountains. Um, it's just that living near the real mountains is not indicated. Sneaky Pete? I don't know what Sneaky Pete. I mean, there's a cartoon Sneaky Pete, but I'm assuming that's not what you mean. Um, no, Smith and Wesson Shield should be fairly easy to come up with a holster that'll carry that. Um, what I need to do is spend some range time getting comfortable with the weapon and then starting to carry it habitually, which I have not been doing. Um, and I have a revolver, which would probably be even easier, but um, it's not. I've never fired it. I'm not comfortable with that at all. And it's a revolver, so it's point and shoot. So the reason that I have the revolvers for home defense when we were living in the city, but I don't know about carrying it when I'm on a hike. Maybe might actually be better than the semi-automatic. I don't know. I need to spend. I need to get some range time in. I was telling Sanford today that he told me that he thought my brain would start to come back online um, about August, and that's about right. I'm starting to finally get things down into a groove, find a routine, and start wanting to pick back up doing um, stuff. Kermit, I that has kind of been my experience, but I have not fired a revolver enough to really assess it. And a couple of the revolvers that I have fired were not only not mine, but not modern. Um, so Bane Range Day, or not Bane, but Bane Barflies doing Range Day at LibertyCon used to be a whole lot of fun. And then it got too big and it was a whole lot less fun and I stopped going. Um, but that was a good day. That was a good day. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that are on my list to start picking up and adding back into the repertoire. And getting some range time in is one of them. And I need to get some familiarization time with my rifle is not going to be as big of a deal, but I haven't fired my husband's rifle at all. And I would like to at least try it and see how it is before I make a decision on which one I'm going to hunt with. Um, and it's just a matter of time. Um, I mean, like this last week, I was exhausted up until Wednesday night. Finally got enough sleep that Thursday I was a normal human being. And today I had all kinds of energy. I mean, we went out shopping, hit 3, 4 stores, came back, went out on a long adventure, and I'm still bouncy, as you can probably tell. So, yeah, I think the brain is starting to come back online. Things are starting to feel comfortable, safe, secure. Hard to really sum up how I'm feeling about that. Home, I guess, is where I'm at with that, and happy, very much, definitely the happy. That helps to have finally gotten out and gotten on a date with my husband because um, I really think that the best way to make us work long term is to work at it. And part of the working at it is going out and having fun together. Because if we're just focused on the drudgery of, okay, I'm worried about this and I'm worried about that, then um, it's not fun. Yeah, buying a toaster on a date sounds like it could be a blast. Um, I mean, our very first date was he took me to a grocery store. A big, huge grocery store, yes, but I miss Jungle Gyms. I went down to see my sister. She was in Dallas for work this last weekend, and it was really nice to get to see her. We didn't get to spend a huge amount of time, but I got to spend a couple of hours with her. We had dinner together, and before I got together with her, because I didn't know what time she'd be available, I came down and I went shopping, and I hit the international markets, and that was fun. Um, it differs, Kermit. I don't know how long you guys are going to be in town. But if you really, really want, we'll take the kids for a couple of hours and you two can scoot off to like Rafter J's and have dinner. I can even farm out one of the kids to my son, so there'll be one person per one small, and I could rope the rest of the North Texas troublemakers into this too. You know.
And a couple of them, it might be a matter of trying not to rope it, trying not to let them into it.
Yes, well, babies are fun. Becky, I'm not sure when Kermit and Differs are going to be through. I'll let them answer that. But I will tell you that uh, this coming week, Jesse Barrett's going to be joining us for dinner. And um, the weekend, no, wait, the 13th, Jesse Barrett will be up here. Yeah, because tomorrow's the 6th. And then the 20th, Tuvala, who's not commenting on this, which I don't blame her. She's in Europe right now. That's an ungodly time switch. Um, Tuvala will be up here on the 20th, and I'm going to be cooking on the 20th, and I have hashed out my meal plan. So, years and years ago, when I was teaching myself how to cook Mexican food out of Diana Kennedy's excellent Encyclopedia of Mexican Cooking. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's awesome. Um, and I actually made mole sauce from scratch, and it took me like 3 days. Well, I think, given my advanced state of technology, that I should be able to manage mole sauce a little bit faster than that. So I am thinking that for the on the 20th for dinner, we're going to have enchiladas with mole sauce and cotija cheese, and half the pan is going to be shredded pork, and the other half of the pan will be ground beef. So, and then I haven't decided yet what I'm doing. Yeah, that would be so much fun. I mean, adorable, but also just fun. Yes, please, Becky. That's what I'm saying is come on up. Um, and so I haven't yet decided what I'm going to have with the enchiladas. Ouch, Doug. That does not sound comfortable at all. Um, but with enchiladas for dessert, don't know yet. I think that one through. Um, Doug, you have got to stop hurting yourself, man. Go see the dentist ASAP. That can really really be a problem if you let that go very long. And I have been told by a dentist that you should not use the temporary filling stuff, but on the other hand, when sometimes you gotta. Um, so, well, oh man. Ah, that's the other thing is it's time to have adventures now while we still can before we get to the point where we can't go anywhere and can't do anything because we're too old. Um, and yeah, I don't want to get to that point. It'll come in time, but I'm not ready for it. I still want to have adventures. Yes, yes, differs. People of a certain age, that would be me, and then my husband, and oh, Richard, I have had a temporary crown for about 20 years now. The signing is the day before FenCon. Um, right, Becky, that makes you middle aged. No, never too old. We'll just have to make smaller adventures and a little bit more cautious. Um, Maybe not so much driving randomly down backcountry roads. Yes, Jiffers, you are just a baby. I can remember when I was just the baby in the group, so um, time passes weirdly. Sometimes it seems like no time at all has gone by, and other times it feels like an eon has passed, and I don't even remember what I used to be. Um, oh, good, Richard. That's much better than my temporary crown. I don't know. I mean, I look at the fact that I've got my baby is 17 now and talking seriously about what he's going to do next year when he turns 18. And I'm like, I feel ancient. But on the other hand, when I was checking out of the grocery today and I had alcohol on the thing, um, the guy asked if he could see my ID, and that made me feel pretty good. So, pro tip to all the young cashiers out there: card them. No matter how old they look to you, card them. You'll make their day. Chattanooga to Dallas in one sitting. Ooh, good heavens, man. No. That's what, like 16 hours driving? Split that up into 2 days.
Maybe three.
Kermit, he's my baby. He's the youngest of four. It's only 12 hours, Becky. It seems like it's longer than that. Maybe I was castering it. I don't even know what that word was supposed to be. But I think I was calculating in stops and gas breaks and whatnot. So, oh, good, Doug. I was hoping that was what that comment I saw earlier meant. Um, my plan is to drive to Liberty next year, Becky. I may be carpooling with some people, but I don't really want to fly. So, and with my job, I have the ability to work while I travel. I just have to get creative about my hours and when I work. Yeah, driving a U-Haul just sucks. I mean, that one, ouch. So, yeah, Springfield, Missouri to New Mexico would be a bit much. We were looking at how long a drive to New Mexico would be because we were thinking it would be fun to do some long road trips. And I was looking at parks because I always look at parks and where I would want to stop and do a little bit of hiking or exploring. So I think we were looking at like 10 hours to drive to where I had looked at in New Mexico to go, which I don't remember now which park it was, down in the southern part of it. But that would definitely be late fall, early spring. I'll probably talk to some of the people that live in New Mexico to figure out the best season to do that. Uh, Kermit, maybe. I don't remember now for sure where I was thinking we would go. Because this has been like a couple of months back. It's been more than a couple of months because it was before it got really gosh darned expensive to drive. Oh, I was looking at the Lincoln National Forest, so the more southern end of. Because I'd like to do the Gila National Forest. There's some really spectacular scenery in that area, but that's probably too far to drive, um, unless we do multi-day trip. We've got friends out in western Texas that would be fun to visit. And we were kind of plotting like a huge circular. So, yeah, 3 hours east. I mean, yeah, see, that's it. I mean, I'd like to go do the Gila Cliff Dwellings. I mean, heck, I'd like to go all the way into Arizona. I've never traveled in Arizona or New Mexico, but it's It's time, it's money. So I don't do downhill skiing, Becky. I do cross country skiing, sometimes called Nordic skiing, because Alaska, shadow of the Alaskan range does not mean hills. Um, the Tanana River Valley is pretty darn flat. So that's where I learned how to ski. And then when we were in New Hampshire, there were definitely places to ski, but Dad worked on the ski patrol. And so I got to hear all about the really nasty accidents that snowboarders and skiers got into and decided that I was happy enough with the cross country, staying on the bunny hills. Cross country and snowshoeing, neither of which I can do where we live now. Nor do I really desire to travel far enough north that I could do those things. I think next time we do a little road trip, I probably could ski White Sands. It would not surprise me to hear that people have skied there. Um, next time we do a little road trip, we'll probably go east. Um, I think we should definitely schedule a meetup with Becky in Munster, and I'd like to actually go far enough east and south to get into some of the parts of Louisiana where there are really interesting orchids. Um, Jim Curtis, old NFO, was telling me about huge orchids in Louisiana, and he spent quite a bit of time in that in his childhood. So that had me all, ooh, I'd love to do that and take pictures. Um, yeah, I mean, if I had my druthers, we'd be doing a lot of traveling. I don't think we're going to manage it, but I can dream. Right, bunny hills exactly differs. The dunes would be bunny hills, and that's what I'm comfortable with. Yeah, waxing the skis, I think sleds might actually work best on dunes, come to think of it. And it seems to me that I have seen um, sleds on dunes, but I could be imagining things. No, and walking through loose sand or loose snow, for that matter, is a pain in the tush. That's actually why snowshoeing, because the snowshoes will balance you on top of some of the snow. Um, yeah, toboggan the dunes. That sounds like fun, and also a good way to get sand in places you don't want sand. Oh, no, I would imagine it's not quite as loose. Dunes, by definition, have to be somewhat loose, but if the dunes are not actively blowing and moving, then they're not going to be loose. Um, I think the last time I really did much in the way of sledding was at Crater Lake in July. There was still quite a bit of snow, and since we hadn't planned on sledding, and it was a big group of family, including some young cousins and one of my daughters, who was at the time, she must have been about 10. And she's 21 now for context. Um, the snow up at Crater Lake, because it's so high, um, does not go away quickly, and they'd had an exceptionally heavy year the year before. So we went up there on a family trip in July, and there was still enough snow that we were all finding like pieces of bags. And if you sit your tush on a Walmart bag, it's slick enough you can get some speed going on a nice steep, icy hill. Oh, the Great Sand Dunes. That sounds interesting. And we were talking today about we got, I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure where we were versus I don't think we were even halfway to Amarillo today. Um and I'd like to get all the way up to Amarillo. There's supposed to be some really good museums up there. But I found that within a startlingly short time of leaving home, we actually were driving down the road and it got real flat. And then a little bit after that, there's sagebrush. And I was delighted because I don't know. I mean, growing up in Oregon, we didn't spend. I spent some time, mostly when we were vacationing or I was with my grandparents, out where there was sagebrush um, and that was just kind of like my happy place. Um, we lived in the Willamette Valley, which, as you might guess, is very wet, very fertile, and spent a good amount of time out on the Pacific coast near Florence, Oregon. And then Alaska, of course, is very different completely. But part of the reason I wanted to be where we are in Texas is because it feels like home to me. And seeing sagebrush that close to home made me happy. I don't want to live that far west and be in the dry. Um, but the fact that it's there within visiting distance, that makes me happy. I'm good with this. And I'm gonna get over there. There's a big state park out that direction. I'm gonna get over to sometime soon. Um, Probably not this weekend. Although I suppose if I hit it out real early tomorrow morning, I could go hiking for a while. I feel up to it. I shouldn't. I've got a bunch of stuff to do here at the house. I want to play hooky, but I shouldn't. uh, I don't know. I mean, I suppose if there was someplace where I could go cross country skiing and didn't have to do the downhill, because I've never done downhill skiing, and I don't think that learning how at 45 is a wise decision. Um, and for some reason, I always had the impression that it was expensive, but that could just be where I lived, too close to the ski resorts. And of course, my skis, my snowshoes, all that is long gone. So I am. It's okay because I don't have any use for skis or snowshoes where I live right now. Now, a kayak would be fun. That would be a nice toy to have. Um, right, flying, I'm a little off flying for right now. I had a really unpleasant experience this spring with the flying and the TSA and all that. So I think I'm going to give it a break for a while. It's not like the TSA is going to get any nicer, but I will drive to LibertyCon next year and we will do a bunch of little road trips. Oh, yes. No, I know what you mean about flying while skiing. Um, haven't had that experience necessarily skiing, but I have done things where, yeah, it came close to that. Um, the other thing I miss is horseback riding, and that I probably could do around here. But oh, I've done. So I don't really think of, for me, skiing and snowshoeing wasn't really sports. Sometimes it was transportation. Sometimes it was transportation while working because when we were tapping in the sugar bush, snowshoes were absolutely essential. The snow was too deep for me to be able to work in it, and I don't even think Dad could manage, but it was up to my hips. So, too deep for me. Um, yes, Kermit, it counts as flying. The question is, did you land it, and was it all in one piece afterwards? Um, that does not sound comfortable. That is a big truck. Uh, so, um, yeah. Going up in a little plane is fun. And there's enough little airports in this area. I could probably manage that too. Go up in a little plane, do some aerial photography. That's far enough, Kermit. It was airborne. Oh, well, folks, it has been an hour, and oh, that's good. I'm glad you didn't hurt the truck. But yes, dating when you're married, all of the fun, none of the pressure. so worth it. Even if you do make your husband sigh in relief when you finally give it back. So, Mom, Uncle Doug was telling me that that plane, the wings are off and hanging in the cabin, and he's not too sure the engine's ever going to turn over again. So, I'm not sure he's going to want to try and move that. Also, ouch, Kermit. Yeah, kids trivia pursuit is tends to be more like teenage trivia pursuit. Um, now there's a child niche market we could do of homeschooled kids trivia pursuit. That could get challenging. Have a great weekend, folks. I will see you all next week. And right now, I'm going to stick with Fridays. We may wind up doing something a little bit different next week. I'm not going to say we are for sure until I have a chance to figure it out. And that's going to involve other people than me. So, just as a hint of what I might be up to. Bye, folks. See you later.